Okay, to create patterns in Illustrator, I'm going to start off by making a square, fill it with black, get rid of the stroke just for fun. Okay, select this object. I'm going to go to Window. I'm going to go to Pattern Options. And when the Pattern Options palette opens up, I'm going to go to the Options, Make Pattern. That's very strange. I wonder why I can't make a pattern from that. Okay, let's try something else. And then I'm going to create a circle. And I'm going to give it a color. It may be that a square is just not, it's just going to fill in, and that's what they were worried about. So Option Make Pattern, and I have a pattern. You'll notice that that option actually adds a pattern into your Swatches palette. And I'm going to click OK. And I can move this circle around, and I get that pattern. And then I'm going to click Done. And that pattern now exists over here in my Swatches palette. And I'm going to then take this and just move it over there, get it out of my way. And I'm going to take a rectangle and I'm going to click pattern, and you'll see that that rectangle now fills with that pattern. Okay. And I'm going to be a little fancy here, and I'm going to select all unused. Maybe not. Okay, well, trash, yes. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. Now you're going to notice that when I change, okay, so there are two modes that I can have when I am creating a pattern. So right now, if you go to Illustrator and you go to Settings, which is under at the end of the Edit menu on PC, and I go to General, you'll find that what's checked on here is Transform Pattern Tiles. This is a pattern tile, and that's Transform Pattern Tiles is checked on. I click OK. When I change the shape of this square, you'll see that the pattern stretches to match that box. Okay. The other setting, if I go to, again, Illustrator Settings General, and I turn off Transform Pattern Tiles, click OK, then you'll see that when I change this square, that the pattern stays fixed, and I can change the size of this shape like that. Like that. And like that. And now if I want to move this what happens is if I move this rectangle, you see the pattern stays fixed. But if I go to Illustrator Settings General, I can now tell it to transform pattern tiles. And now if I hold Shift and I drag, I can make this pattern smaller. I can move this pattern around like that. And then if I wanted to make this object a different size, again, I'm going to go to Illustrator Settings General, turn off Transform Pattern Tiles, and now my pattern is smaller. So that's kind of a challenge for the pattern maker. Illustrator, Settings, General, Transform Pattern Tiles. Okay. Now I can move this around again. And if I want to make it bigger or smaller, I can do that. Okay. Then if I want to edit this pattern that I've made, I can double click here. It reverts to this pattern that I had created. I can change that color, for instance. New color. I'm going to go to magenta, click OK. And now I could click done, in which case it's just going to take that pattern and change it. Or I can click save a copy. Save a copy. Okay. And now I still have my original pattern like that. And I have the new pattern. And I could, in fact, go and do that. Save a copy. I might want to make this 3. Okay. Okay. And now I'm going to click done. And I have this new pattern. And again, depending on which mode it's in, it will either transform or Illustrator Settings. Click OK. Now this would move around and I can alter how that works. So there is some other functions that I have not discussed. So let us go and look at those. So, interesting. So I'm going to go here and I'll delete that and I'll change that to that and done. Okay. So I find it a little confusing figuring out how to save these, but one can hopefully always go back to the original and make a change. Okay, next. So I'm going to click here. So this is right now set in the grid pattern. I can also do grid by row. I can also do, I'm sorry, brick by row, brick by column, X by column, X by row. Okay, right now we can change the size of the tiling. If I go here, say I make this 1.5, then it does that. It's an interesting pattern. Okay. So I can change the size of the tile. I can also change how it overlaps. Right now, left is in front. If I click like that, I'm not going to see any difference here. Okay. The difference came when I did the overlap of the bottom overlapping the top instead of the top overlapping the bottom. Okay. Though in this case, left and right didn't matter. You can also control how many copies it's showing you if you want to see. You can also tell it to dim the copies more so you can see what you're working on. You can show tile edges or not show tile edges. Show swatch bounds. Okay. Now, let's see, what else do I want to show? You can also, let's do this. I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to use pen tool. That's the line tool. I want the pen tool. Come on. There you go, pen tool. And I'm going to change that from to a stroke. And change that color to there. And you'll see that you can actually have a continuous element that runs through this. Let's go and move that up like that and move that down like that. So it seems a little bit more seamless. I can even add another one. Like that. Well, here we'll just do it that way. So one can make infinite patterns that link together like that. And I click save copy. Okay, click OK. And I'm going to click done. Oh, that's the problem. Okay. Well, so I have this pattern. Um, and you can see that that pattern isn't continuous like that. And again, if I want to go back in here and alter this, maybe I want to add a new color, make this a little darker, click OK. Save a copy. And done. And it didn't save. So that's cute. Save a copy. Okay. Cancel. Hmm. All right, let's try this one more time. Done. Okay, try it again. Save a copy. Okay, done. I love it when the computer is outwitting me in such a ridiculous manner. Save a copy. Okay. I'm wondering whether there's some weird error that I'm getting. Click done. Well, hmm. I don't have an explanation for what just happened. It just doesn't seem to like me, particularly since I go here and it shows that it's correct. And I click done and it doesn't show up. Well, okay. One more try. Gonna take this. Oh, I wonder. Okay, hang on a second. Um, there we go. Okay, so what was happening there is that it was saving, but okay. If I take this object and I tell it to fill with nothing and I tell it to fill the stroke and I make it big, you'll see that you can set the stroke to the pattern that you've created. And so what's happened, in fact, is that I had set it to pattern and I had not set it to fill. And so when I was filling it with the pattern, um, it was not showing up. So there's the color, there's the color, there's the color, there's the color, there's the color. This one is regular. Okay, so I can go back just because it's useful and just delete those. Yes. Okay. And so now that's like that. And I fill it. And so I've created this neat sort of interlocking thing happening just because the colors change color. And one side of it is um, if I went here, I'm going to dim it less. And if I change it to like this, I don't think I get a change. But if I change it like this, huh, we get an interesting little notch going on there where it's actually notched into the other. And so I don't want to do that. Um, but I could also go back in here and that solves that problem, the notching problem. And I'm going to save a copy and okay, and done. So that one looks like that. That one looks like that. And again, I haven't apparently changed, saved the other older version. The newer version is what's here. Um, so I'm going to go here and now I will change that. And I'm going to click done and maybe, yeah, that changed it. So this one's better because it interlocks while this one's continuous. So anyway, pattern maker, not a perfect piece of work, but definitely fun. If I take a square, I'll fill it with a color. I'm going to take it, use the shear tool, okay. And now I have these three shapes, window, pattern options, make pattern, does that. I'm going to brick by row, and now I'm going to take the height, make it smaller, Well, let's try 3.3013. And now we have a perfect pattern like that. And I'm going to click done. So now we have pattern like that. Again, I might want to take that Illustrator Settings General Transform, click OK. Illustrator Settings General Transform Pattern. So now I have something that's like that. One could also then I'm going to do this way. I've selected that. I'm going to duplicate swatch. I'm now going to double click on that swatch. Instead of that color being dark, I'll make that color light. Done. Didn't save. Okay. Save a copy. There we go. Done. And so now we have sort of the opposite effect. We have now that looks like the cubes are, this is the top sides, and then that's the bottom. And then this is, now it's sort of reversed. So, and one could in fact, let's try this. I don't know if this will come out the same. Copy front. Change. Huh. Interesting, right? So I could actually change the pattern mid-pattern. And I could change that if I make this less of a square too. I could have it indent here. So, okay, final thing I wanted to show. Just delete that. Okay, then we can also ellipse tool, none, stroke black. Like that. Window, pattern options, make pattern. Then I could make this what, probably 1.5. 1.5. So that would be one way to do it. Break by row. X column. 4, 5. 4, 5. Well, okay, let's make it smaller yet. 3, 3. So you can make 2, 2. And it's a crazy pattern. Okay. And I could take this, and instead of those being black, I could make them gray. Click OK. Click Save a Copy. Done. Again, got to watch out that the stroke isn't selected. And I might double click on that and tell it to be width 0. So you use that to create a background pattern that you could put other things on top of. And I would probably take this and select all of these items instead of that level of gray. Cancel. Um, hmm. Done. So that could be a background that I could put type on, for instance. That's a little hard to read. Old, a lot bigger. So background pattern like that. Okay, so a lot of possible uses for this pattern maker. So I look forward to seeing what you're up to.